Okay, hello guys. I'm going to talk about my dad today because I ran into him 2 days ago and then again. And I don't really speak with him. And I want to say a disclaimer in the beginning of this video. There's going to be homophobic slurs and there's going to be slurs against women. And these are not hate speech in the context of me saying them. They're just quoting my dad. I also want to say, if you're not into hearing a grown man complain about his father while sitting on the floor of his bedroom, then please leave now, because I don't need to hear any more snowflake comments, which I've been actually getting rather few of. But anyways, so I ran into my dad in a mall parking lot, and he's living in a van, and I think he lives in the mall parking lot. And he's a bit of a character, and I don't want to disparage him too much, but then again, I actually do, and that's kind of what this video is me venting. I talked to him, and he ghosted my sisters. He wouldn't take their calls for 10 years. I have two older sisters, and my oldest sister really liked him and was texting him, trying to get a hold of him, and he blocked her number and just ghosted and didn't talk to her for 10 years, and she had to go to counseling, and she was that upset about it. I'm not sure exactly what this feud is I'm in with my dad. I think we're both slightly autistic, and I think he's a legitimate psychopath. I think I might be some sort of sociopath as well. I have definitely narcissistic traits that I'm working on. But yeah, he lives in a van, and I saw him at the mall, and he's always at the mall. He's just sitting at the mall with vagrants looking at teenage girls, and Andrew Tate says okay to him. But anyways, the point is, I kind of did a peace sign to him. He waved me over. He gave me a flash drive of our kids' photos, and we're happy in the photos. And we're smiling. It's all birthday cakes. And it made me feel bad. It was definitely a gaslighting gift to kind of try to make me feel bad about treating him bad. And I was a kid. Me treating him bad was in response to him treating me bad. I was a bedwetter, and I'm saying this, that's crazy to say on the internet, on YouTube, but I used to wet the bed in kindergarten and preschool, and my dad used to spank for that, and it wouldn't get better. You can't spank a bedwetter to stop bedwetting. There's another time where kids were like showing their ass at school, showing their ass. Teacher called my dad. My dad stripped all my clothes off and beat me up naked. This was like, I was like 5. And when you go through that, and I don't want to be like the adult that's still dwelling on it, but I am the adult still dwelling on it. It fucks with your head in a profound way, because you can't trust your father after that. And if you can't trust your father, and you're not looking up to your father as a role model, then you're fucked, man. And I'm getting my life together, and I don't really have it together now, and I am kind of throwing him under the bus. And he told me that. He says, you're throwing me under the bus. 99% of the time, I was a good father. Your mother gave you everything you wanted and spoiled you, and that's true too. And I should have never been so disruptive as a teenager, and that's true. But you shouldn't have been beating up naked kids. And before people get to the point of saying like, oh, well, my dad was like a hard worker and like the kids were out of control. Maybe the kids were out of control, but he wasn't a hard worker. He collected welfare for 20 years. He sat in the corner getting drunk, watching Lindsay Lohan movies on his laptop. He's watching chick flicks, drinking beer, and anytime he was in the corner of the kitchen doing that, he was spending his welfare payments, buying himself like a BMW, and you'd walk in there and he would fucking just scream at you, oh, you fucking faggot, And that was my fucking childhood. He'd grab fucking the dog's shit and feed it to it. Force feed handfuls of dog shit down the dog's throat. Hoarding boxes of fucking old newspapers to the ceiling. I was watching The Simpsons in the other room. He'd pull out his dick and wave it at my mom. You fucking cunt. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're fucking 12, man. I remember... I was skinny as a kid, and he'd be like, oh, he's too skinny, he's a faggot. I remember there's one kid, he had like cut off socks, so I was like, oh, those are cool athletic socks. I was like 10, I bought some. He's like, oh, look at these socks, this kid's a faggot. I grow my hair out a little bit long, like the length it is now. It's like, hair's too long, this kid's a faggot. He's skinny, he's a faggot. I got a dog, and the dog slept in my bed. He's like, he's sleeping with dogs, he's a faggot. And the dog was a Doberman, unneutered. He's like, that's an unneutered Doberman, your asshole's gonna be this big sleeping with that dog, you're a faggot. And like, I was like 12. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? So then like I would spray him with squirt guns, and in response to this, and that's why he left the family, and he's fucking still on that shit. So it's like, what the fuck, bro? You're living in a van, hanging out with pedophiles at the mall parking lot, and you have a website where you're photoshopping people's faces into gay porn that you don't like, and you're putting it on the internet. So, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know why I want him back in my life. But I really gave him an opportunity to like apologize to me, but he didn't even admit to any of this. He says he didn't spank, he didn't drink, he didn't yell, and that all this were lies that my mom told me. And it's like, dude, I was there. My sisters were there. We all agree what you did. We were there. So I think he's dissociated what he's did. He's blocked it out. He's some sort of schizophrenic. He has to be. I might be too, to be honest. Like, I'm on YouTube right now talking to myself about my dad calling me a faggot. I might be schizophrenic at this point. I don't know. But anyways, so I confronted him. I said, like, why were you doing this? Why were you doing that? Why were you doing this? Why were you doing that? Like, who was paying the mortgage? Who was paying the mortgage? My mom was working. She was paying the mortgage. She was just sitting around drinking, watching chick flicks, calling everyone a faggot and a cunt, whipping his dick out, hoarding newspapers. And then he was saying that his wife, my mom, never supported him. And then towards the end of the marriage, he was going to this country club, and he was trying to pick up like 19-year-olds that my sister was going to school with, posting on Facebook. She was embarrassed. It's like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And he gave me this thing where I'm an individual and I have to make my own life. And that is true. And I really need to get that together. And I need more money and more career and more friends, clearly, because I'm talking to myself on the internet. But the things that he did definitely screwed me up in a lot of ways, and they didn't help propel me to success, for sure not. And I think subconsciously I might have been trying to embarrass him by failing, or I just didn't have the mental clarity until recently to even articulate and stand up my side of the story. And I was so afraid of him that I was afraid to even go out in public. And I think it's a bit of both. I think I was happy that he would be embarrassed by my failures, which he isn't. He's happy because it makes him look like he was the good guy and right. And then I was always scared to go out in public because he was always hanging out at the mall in a van. And he was always fucking just unhinged, trying to fucking start problems. And it's not just the family. Like, the neighbors had to build a retaining wall to block him out because they called the cops on him a couple times. He called cops. He was always fighting with the neighbors. There's one neighbor, he jumped off a ladder and tried to sue them when he broke his arm. Like, he's insane. He's suing dentists. He sued a dentist. He went in, got his tooth fixed, didn't pay, and then he's trying to sue them, putting it on his website. He's insane. But I don't know. So I was always afraid to go out to the mall or anywhere in public because he'd be there making fun of me. And like, he'd be like, "Oh, you're working at Walmart now. You're a faggot." And like, I remember I failed grade 11 and I was going to go back, and no problem, because I was friends with a lot of the kids that were a year younger, and it was going too fast for me anyways, because I needed a tutor. I had learning problems. And then he was like, "You shouldn't go back. Everyone's going to make fun of you. You look like a faggot." And then I dropped out. And then I ended up doing these dead-end jobs. And I want to take responsibility, but it starts somewhere here. And like, I'm telling him all this, and he says, "You're on drugs right now. None of this even happened. You're on drugs. Your pupils are dinner plates. You're on drugs." And that's the same thing he said about my mom. He said that all the time. "Don't listen to your mom. She's on drugs. Don't listen to your mom. She's on drugs." My mom never did drugs. Ever. And then he's fighting over land with my uncle, the will. He says, "Don't listen to your uncle. He's a fucking crazy guy. He's in a mental institution, drooling and crying like a girl. Don't listen to him." Like, I don't understand this. But anyways, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I've just been holding on to it for a very, very long time. And yeah. So anyways, he blamed the divorce and foreclosure on one of my sisters, and part of me was slightly relieved because I thought he would always blame me. But anyways, he said he was going to a car show, and it was out of town, and I was in that town anyways because I've been doing like kind of these day trips. And I drove by the car show and I said, well, maybe I shouldn't go because he'll be there. But I parked and I went, and I saw him. He walked by, and I walked by, and from the day before where we met at the mall, we had our argument. We decided we weren't going to talk to each other anymore. And he walked by, and I walked by, and that was that. And it felt like I finally stood up to him, and now I can go out in public and feel safe. Like, I didn't feel safe until I was 31 years old because of what this guy did to me when I was a child. So, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a snowflake, but it seems like some sort of complex trauma to me. I have a lot of problems that don't have anything to do with my dad. Like, I was an idiot when I was a kid. Other kids didn't like me. I was a bully. I didn't have any vision of a future at all. I just wanted to be destructive. I was drinking, smashing bottles on the pavement when I was like 11. Because of, like, obvious. Like, I don't want to scapegoat him for everything, but you got to be a father if you're a father. You can't just get drunk and watch Lindsay Lohan movies, call everyone a faggot and a cunt, and then blame your foreclosed house on your 18-year-old daughter. So, fuck that guy. And I wrote him an angry letter, and I sent it to my uncle, his brother, because he doesn't have an address because he lives in a van, and I just put his name on it, and he's gonna get it, and he's not gonna like it. It's gonna say, like, basically exactly what I said in this video, like, why are you beating naked children and then expecting them to run and beg to you, come back in my life? So anyways, that's my ramble about my dad. There's more. There's a lot more. I mean, he's done so much stupid shit. So much stupid shit. And why I say that he might be schizophrenic is he tried to say that he was going to power our house with a vacuum cleaner engine and we wouldn't need to pay for electricity anymore. Like, he's not there. But anyways, he has pity for me, I have pity for him, and we're kind of the same person, unfortunately, because I couldn't fully function because of what happened, and now I'm functioning quite well, but I'm extremely depressed that I lost all of my 20s to sitting around being depressed, taking fucking Seroquel, trying to get over these fucking naked beatings that happened when I was a kid that he won't even admit to and apologize to. It's a lot of pointing fingers. He's hoarding like pellet guns and bear traps in a trailer for when the world gets taken over by homosexuals. I think he must be some sort of closeted guy. I know from what I talked to about my sister, he posted like pictures or videos with him hanging out with her friends at a bar, and I think he said something about when I met him one time that the bouncers kicked him out, and obviously it's because he's trying to get handsy with underage girls. Anyways, very not interesting for anybody except for me, but peace out, guys.